In 3.6 day 1 notes, we talked about an equation called point-slope form. Point-slope form is the equation written at the top of this page. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Now, when an equation is completed and numbers are substituted in, a number would be substituted in for the y1, the m, and the x1. Your m is the number that's your slope. Your x1, y1 is an ordered pair that you're given, and the ordered pair goes in as the opposite sign. So if my x value was positive, it would go into the formula as negative, whereas if my x value is negative, it would go into the formula positive. Now, once you substitute your numbers in to the equation, the second step would be to distribute the right side. So you would have to distribute or multiply in that number on the outside of the parentheses. And then step 3 is to add or subtract the number from the left side. So you would be adding or subtracting this y1 value to the opposite side. The reason we rearrange this is so that we get our equations into slope-intercept form so that we can graph them. So if we look at example 1, I'll leave this at the top. Example 1 gives me my slope, which is my m, and it gives me my point, which is my x1, y1. If I plug my values into the formula, the y is part of the formula that stays there. My y1, which is a positive 1, goes into the equation as the opposite, so that would be a negative 1. You drop down the equal sign. Your m comes next. My m is a positive 1. Parentheses. The x goes into the equation, and my x1 is 2, but it goes in as the opposite sign. So notice here how I substituted in this negative 1, the 1, and the negative 2. Okay, same as I highlighted up on the top. Now, once you have the values substituted in, you need to distribute the right side. So the left side drops down as just y minus 1. Drop down the equal sign. 1 times x is 1x. 1 times a negative 2 is a negative 2. After you distribute the right side, you need to add or subtract the number from the left side. So the number on the left side is a negative 1. So I'm going to add it to both sides. Now, when you add it to the left side, it cancels out. But when you add it to the right side, you have to make sure that you add it to the number that's at the end. Okay? You cannot add it to the x because those are not like terms. So the 1x drops down, and the negative 2 plus 1 is a minus 1. If you look at example number 2, my m is negative 2, my x1 is 5, and my y1 is negative 1. So I'm going to plug it into the formula. Y, and then my y1 comes next, but it goes into as my opposite sign, so that would be going as a positive 1, equals my m, which is negative 2, parentheses, x. Now my x1's a positive 1, so it goes in as a minus. After you substitute the values in, you want to distribute the right side. So you drop down the y plus 1 equals negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10. After distributing, you have to get rid of the number by adding or subtracting it on the left side to the right side. So the opposite of adding 1 is subtracting 1. Make sure that when you subtract it to the number on the back, and you get your equation y equals negative 2x plus 9. The reason we're converting is so that we put it into slope-intercept form so that we can graph it. Okay, we cannot graph an equation in this form yet, so we just rearrange it so that we can. Let's look at problem number 4, and then I'll go on to the back. Okay, my m is a half. My x1 is 6, my y1 is 2. And so it goes y, your y1 comes next, it goes in as the opposite of what it is, so it's positive, so it goes in as a minus 2, equals my slope is 1/2, parentheses x, and then your x1 comes next, and because it's a positive 6, it goes in as a negative 6. Once you plugged in the numbers, you want to distribute. So drop down the left side, y minus 2 equals 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. 1/2 times -6, if you put that into your calculator, you get a -3. And now add or subtract the number from the left. So it's a -2, so I have to add 2 to both sides. And I get myself y equals 1/2 x minus 1.